Uh-oh. What?
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Paranomaly Beyond Disclosure. We are a weekly podcast dedicated to sincere, in-depth investigations into the paranormal, supernatural, and the metaphysical, with a special focus on the UFO topic. We take a sincere, analytical approach, thoroughly evaluating each case and its implications. Our discussions go beyond the surface as we engage with researchers, investigators, and experiencers to explore the deeper layers of their testimonies. We strive for high-resolution analysis, carefully examining evidence, patterns, and perspectives that challenge conventional thinking. If you're looking for a podcast that seeks deeper understanding, you're in the right place. Please be sure to like and subscribe and follow to receive notifications when new content is made available. You can also visit us at www.paranormallypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social links. Thank you again for watching or listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode of Paranomaly Beyond Disclosure. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in tonight. We have a great show. We have Doug Goodfeather on with us. We're going to be talking about Native American legend and lore, stories of the paranormal, UFO, cryptids, things like that in Native American culture. We love Native American culture, and I feel it's very important, and I'm honored to have Doug here with us. Doug, thank you so much for being here. We also have Mark Rayworth. If you remember, he's an experiencer. This guy, he's incredible. Mark's joining us because we feel he's got some interesting questions as well. Things that's going on between the Indian culture and the how do I want to put it, Jim? What is?
I think we were interested in maybe if there was any sort of common denominator between we know, Doug, that you have knowledge of Native American ritual, and Mark is an ex-Freemason and has had a lot of experience with
Yes.
Oh, we've got some kind of audio problem. He can't hear us, I think.
So anyway, while he's getting his mic to work, yes, I think we just lost.
Yeah, what I was saying is it might be interesting to kind of almost have a meeting of both worlds, your knowledge of Masonic ritual and Doug's knowledge of Native American ritual. And maybe there is some overlap there, or some similarities or connections between the two. It'd be, I think. Yeah. So we thought that would be interesting to explore. And
there's the correlation, I think, will be good. I don't know how. I don't know what your hold on a second here. Doug, you with us?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm finally something. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, no worries. No Doug, do us a favor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from South Dakota, born on the Standing Rock, Lakota Sioux Reservation there in South Dakota, in a little village called Rock Creek. I was raised by my grandparents and great-grandparents, so I was raised with a lot of elderly. And then I kind of got out of there and traveled around a little bit and winded up here in Colorado. And so I got here in 2000, and then I joined the military, and from there I did some combat tours and came back. And from there on, I'd been pursuing and creating this nonprofit organization, and just kind of and then wrote a book, and teaching these philosophies of and modalities of healing and self-actualization, and quantum physics and spirituality, and things like that. I've just been kind of going on with that, and just bringing this nonprofit up to helping people that are in need of the things that that a lot of people might be lacking in life, where there's support and, bringing them out of addictions, or, some kind of maybe spiritual healing or things like that. But basically I'm a counselor, therapist. And so that's kind of work I do as well.
And you was in Iraq, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. Also, what was you going to say, Jim? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So when you were younger and you grew up with, I guess you had two grandfathers that were really influential, and so you were privy to the sort of Lakota oral tradition, and they passed on things to you about their knowledge, and it was what the oral record of the Lakota
Well,
Native
it's history
American.
of our family origins and our ceremonies, our songs and stories, and that's important today. That's gives us the identity of who we are, and but also these philosophies that come out of our ceremonies that literally help people from all walks of life. And that's why I wrote the book in Think Indigenous, which is helps people understand about their indigenous, because we're all indigenous to this earth, unless you're from Mars or the moon. But and maybe some of us are, but that's basically what it's talking about, and finding your originality and creating that bond with your culture and your language and your ceremonies, and giving that identity back to you and stuff like that. So that's what the book's about.
And did they also tell you things about the star people, or the or what you I think refer to sometimes as the star nations? Is there in the Lakota tradition some information about some type of otherworldly ancestors or beings that taught the Lakota Indians about civilization? Or
we have stories and connections to, they say, the Wichachpi Oyate, which means the star people. And from the things that I've learned and experienced with the star people was very really powerful for me, and the experience I had with their presence, and how that connection really opened up a whole new, oh my God, a whole new teaching for me. And from growing up, experiencing those kind of connections with my grandma and my grandpa, and how they did those things, and how easy and simple it was. And with the great grandpas, one of them was blind, and one of them was always with them, so they always took care of each other. And they were brothers, and they would talk about the star people, and they would talk about the way the planets were, the stars, the other planets, how they watched over us, Mother Earth. They were the guardians of Mother Earth. And so there's ways that they talk to each other, as frequencies, however that is, they communicate with each other. And so that's what my grandpa used to tell me. He said they talk to each other, and they watch over us. They watch over Mother Earth, and they create their own language. And I was sitting in class one day, and astronomy, and the professor was talking about when you drive out in the middle of nowhere and put your radio on FM, you can literally hear static of the static different planets. And so it really resonated with me of the stories that were told to me when I was a little boy. And right then and there, that's a language that just popped into. They're talking to each other and communicating with each other. But, you know, and scientists can make that study and prove it if they studied it. But and they have. And there's different frequencies that come from these different planets and different that watch over us, that take care of Mother Earth. But, you know, when I was living in here in Colorado, there's a place called Meade, Colorado. And I was living out there, and it's kind of out in the open, out in the plain area. And it's just mostly elderly people in the little communities, very conservative and very guarded. So there was always somebody watching. And so if you're driving by there in the middle of the night from coming back from work or something, you know, like people are watching you or checking out who it is. But anyways, I started having some experience out there, and there was a lot of windows in the house that I rented, and I kept having these feelings of being watched all the time. And I'm used to, you know, being alone or being outside, or I'm used to this kind of thing because I grew up in South Dakota, you know, in the plains. And it's dark everywhere when it gets dark at night. But I was having these experiences, and then I started seeing these owls, these two big giant owls. And in the Lakota tradition, it's taboo to see an owl. Like, oh no, but I had a different experience at that time.
It's of negative portent to see an owl in the Lakota tradition. It means something negative.
It's supposed to be, but something taught me different. Something taught me different about those owls, because they came, and there was a white one and a gray one, and the gray one was, the body was about big as my body. It was humongous, and the white one's a little bit smaller. And they would come, and when that happened, I would start to hear things and feel this energy that would come. It's a really powerful energy, and it was more of a static energy. And so at the time of that feeling, I would have these dreams, and one of the dream, but at the same time, I don't know if it was a dream. So I'm kind of like learning about that, because in the dream, what had happened was there was somebody at the door in my mind. So I sat up and I opened the door, and there was four beings there. There was a woman, two men, and a gray standing at the door. So, and then when they told me to follow them, so as we went out the door, you can see the vehicle or the shit parked over there. So we followed it, and we were following it. It was snowing out, so you can see their tracks, and I was following them. and then I didn't remember anything after that. And the second time, and then I remembered, when I remembered, I was being like floating on this silver gurney or something. And I was being pushed like this by one of those gray aliens or gray people. And they were pushing me, but they were looking straight. And I was really groggy. I was trying to get up, but I couldn't. And then I just went back to sleep. So I started doing research. Because it got stronger, and these experiences and these dreams kept happening. And I would work late, and then I'd go home, and then I'd go to the gym probably about 11 at night, because it was real quiet. And about 1:30 in the morning, I was going home. And as I was passing, there was a young girl standing on the road. So I passed her, and she was holding a bag, and between me and the glass, it was just like feet apart, probably about 5 feet apart. And she was smiling at me, but she looked very unusual, and she had bigger eyes and, those pointy ears. So it kind of scared me. So I kept driving, and I stopped about maybe about 100 feet away, and I turned around, and she was gone. And so having these experiences, I started doing research because it started to really affect me, scaring me.
Yeah, this sounds absolutely like the classic abduction scenario. You know, you have these what are recollected as dreams or what seem like dreams. You know, these dream-like memories of encounters with, you know, typically gray beings who show up, you know, and then, you know, often take you somewhere. And
But
you know,
they weren't gray beings. They were like, they looked human, but they had these medieval clothes on, but they had mullets, hair, beautiful looking people, and very kind. And
so let's unpack that a little bit. What you saw when you saw the beings? So there was three of them, right? Two of them looked identical to humans, and then there was one that was grayish, but not like your classic gray type ET, different in
yeah.
some way, and had hair.
No, there was three. There was a woman and two men, and then the gray.
Okay, so
Like the gray was being told what to do.
what
And
did
so,
the women and the men look like? Did they look like ordinary, average Earth
yeah,
humans, or were
with
they?
pointy ears and bigger eyes, bigger cheekbones, like more of a slanted eyes and
So like what people in the UFO field would describe as Nordic ETs, Nordic type ETs.
yeah.
Did they have blonde hair?
The men didn't, but the woman had like a blondish brunette kind of hair, but their skin was more darker too. And but their clothes really looked amazing, and they had necklaces on with emblems on it or shiny things on it. So that's what I remember. And so, you know, from that time on, you know, it really started to scare me. So I started doing a lot of research. And there was this guy in Colorado Springs, I can't remember it, but he started going through the same experience. And he went through it before. He made a documentary of it. They started seeing the star people at first following him, and then started having that experience. And then he's seen the girl. He's also seen he was being abducted and bringing back, but he didn't see how it was up there in the ship or anything. But he said he was having these experiences. It was always similar, and the owls are connected to them as well. And and so you go back. I started researching. I just got into it, went all the way back to the Egyptian days and seen these owls standing always with the star people.
Yeah.
And then right before you start seeing them, the owls come first, and then they come. So that was my experiences. And then when I moved from that place, 2 weeks later, those owls showed up at my place in the back of my yard. And that's
interesting. Yeah, it's a real mystery with the owls. I don't know if you're familiar with. I think it's Mike Cleland who has really delved deeply to the owl connection with the Greys, who we're having on the podcast actually.
But
The
owls taught me something else. They didn't teach me that. They taught me that they're not bringing just death. They're not bringing death. They're bringing transformation. So if you're dreaming of death, that means the old you is going away and the new you is going to rejuvenate and be born, or something's going to happen. You know, it's going to, you know, reshape you or mold you, whatever. So that's also what they bring is enlightenment of, you know, of yourself, self-actualization too. Because you're going to, like, a lot of times we go through depression for a reason, or we go through something that really wakes us up and we change for some reason. And so that's what they bring. And so that's what I got out of it. Now I'm not scared of that. It's not taboo to me. I use it as a teacher and as a helper now. And so that's really amazing how that taught me. And it changed my whole experience of what, you know, I was told and what I experienced, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that does. Yeah, just getting back to the owls again. A lot of the times, and it's really confusing to me, what all they represent. But it seems like in some of the cases with abductees, definitely in the case of Whitley Strieber, the owl image or memory that he had was the only thing that he remembered from the experience. He just had this residual memory of an owl, but somehow knew that that wasn't a real memory, that this was out of place, that there was something off about this, and became obsessed with finding out, the truth about, what had happened to him. But all he had, in the beginning was just that memory of the owl, which appeared at his window, but which he just knew couldn't have really been there, and it couldn't have been a real owl because there was no tracks, there was nothing. And it was, I think that it could be, among other things, I think there could, there could be a symbolic meaning to it too, and there's some kind of message there in the symbolism of the owl. But it's also like a marker, I think oftentimes, maybe this doesn't seem to be the case with you. You did have memories of the actual beings themselves in your instance. But I think oftentimes they don't want you to remember right away the experience, but they want to leave you some kind of breadcrumb that something happened, so that later on, maybe when you, develop in your understanding and you put more of the pieces together, you'll be able to then integrate that information. But the owl is, I think, oftentimes used as kind of like this marker that tells you that something has happened to you, and it indicates that, to me, that they want you to uncover the experience. They're intentionally leaving you a breadcrumb so that you dig into it, and so that you find out more.
you know,
Um,
from that time on, I have these marks behind my ear and on my thighs. So behind my ear, there's 2 marks, and then around my thighs.
is that right?
So,
Like symmetrical type markings. What do they look like exactly? The ones behind your ear.
well, they're one on each side, and sometimes they'll have these different. I got tendonitis, but there's a different tone that pops in, and then they start to itch. And so,
Huh.
that really was really and then also, after these experiences, my mathematics and my science and quantum physics just bloomed in me. It blew up in me, and just not in the calculation sense, but that more in the philosophy sense of bringing those out and explaining them and how those connections are. That bloomed in me.
Immediately after that experience, you
Yeah,
had, I
yeah,
mean, this sounds like what people refer to as a download, where
exactly.
suddenly you're just hit with this, package of information. Can you describe in any more detail, what type of information, or what did it seem like to you? What did it seem to be about, the information in the download?
Well, like Tesla and Einstein, they had these downloads as well, and but my downloads showed me more of our Lakota designs, our geometric designs, and it showed me what this design is for and what you can use it for, what you can create with this design. And it has the calculations already in it because it's already a sacred geometry. But to us, it's a sacred, like see this drum,
Mm-hmm.
the morning star on it, and you got the other geometric designs on it. And it has, these calculations to it as the 369 that can create other designs and also create um, functional, um, energy efficient vehicles and other things that I have uncovered, and been working on and have been working on. And so this is what really showed me a lot of these things of how these things have come to, like, that guy, Terrence Howard, he came up, he has this awakening and all this mathematics, and he's taken it to a whole different level, a different way. And I'm taking it to also a different way, but he's claiming things, but at the same time he's telling us, he's saying that it belongs to the universe, so you can't claim it then if it belongs, because it belongs to all of us then. It's in all of us. So he looks at it in his way. I see it in this way. Tesla's seeing it in his way. Einstein's seeing it in his way. But it all comes together as a sacred geometry. It still has the sacred signatures on it from whatever it is, but it's only speaking from different philosophers, different teachers, and the way it's going to them and how it helps that person create whatever. And so I brought these out, and it really showed me the science and how our people have created a lot of things and invented, like the teepee, for instance. That's one of the greatest invention. That's a movable durability shelter with secret geometries on it, where we use the wind as a creation to create that teepee and create a dwelling in it, and as well as how it takes care of us in that, and then so we take these designs, and that's what opened up in me when that happened, and just like the light came on.
Yeah, let's linger on the teepee for a little bit. I've thought about this once before. It seems to me like when you get into this area and you listen to the information that's been brought back by contactees and abductees, sometimes it is mentioned that we have a problem in our society with our dwellings, that our square structures aren't conducive to natural energy flow somehow, and that this is unusual with them. That in their civilizations everything is circular, or maybe not always perfect circles, but there's no corners, in their structures. And do you know anything about that? And was the design of the teepee somehow incorporating that knowledge, or maybe originally, maybe that was forgotten, maybe by some lineages, but maybe initially, at the advent of the discovery of the teepee, or the design of it, they understood that, somehow.
Well, what I believe in, my theory is that it was engineered by a woman, because it's designed as a woman, it's designed as a female, but it has this dwelling inside it where it's circular, because life is never ending. We continue to move on and continue to pass these conditions and talk cultures off. But it has these poles that represent, has 13 poles represent, the natural order and the natural law of our year, in our 28 days of the month, 13 months, it's a natural law, it's a natural order. We feel it, we know it naturally. So it has this order that is engineered into it, but it's also engineered where when the wind comes, it works with the wind. So it's working with nature. So the female watched how it did it, how maybe a whirlwind came, and she watched how that whirlwind created something where it created an idea to engineer a teepee like that, and how collapsible it is and fast you can take it and put it right up and dwell in it, and 100-mile wind can hit it. If you stake it down and have it right, that's not gonna fall over. It's the wind's gonna go around it, keep moving on. So that's how we, that I've learned, in the stories behind it, how it dwells and takes care of the people. And it always has been part of our, culture and our history, how we moved because we were nomads. We nomads and
The Lakotas were nomads. They
yeah,
didn't stay settled in one area.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I didn't
So
know that.
even we have our petroglyphs in down south, southeastern and Alabama and Georgia. There's
Hmm.
petroglyph Lakota designs, and there's big mounds that were created. They said the Lakota, but at the same time, the Lakota it was a big nation. So there's different tribes that still have the Lakota linguistic stock. So they have, so I can understand some of their language if they speak it and I listen. So that was the branch off of other tribes because our tribe was so humongous. And that was the intelligence of leaders though, knowing that we were too massive, we needed to branch off. And so those tribes branched off from different places and created their rituals, and these rituals were taught to us by Mother Earth, and wherever we were dwelling, how to describe things and how to use things in ceremony, and how those rituals were created in us and that dwelling, like people in Alaska, there have, their rituals are with the orcas, the whales,
Hmm.
the hunting on the ice, the people in Africa, same, they have their knowledge of how that taught them their language and their rituals, these things like that. So everyone has a dwelling, but Mother Earth taught us, the natural law taught us how to create this language, these rituals, and these dwellings. And if you really think of it, it's really powerful. The ocean people, they have their way of living on the ocean. Desert people have their way of living in the desert. Mountain people we all adapt. We're adaptable, and that's the way we're created. We're adaptable to anything that we can handle or not get sick from.
Hmm.
To interject here, it's really interesting what you're saying, and seems like the Western world has kind of lost its harmonic resonance with the Earth and the planet, because it's kind of inverted. And when you mentioned the 13 poles on the teepee, it kind of blew me away, because I think we used to have 13 months in the year here, 28 days in each month. I think the missing month is called Sol, and the years would start April to April with this calendar, but that kind of got taken away. And also, again, with the buildings, there's a lot of history to do with Tartaria, where the tops of their towers, which would attract etheric energy, would be the shape of a teepee, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the aerials on top to attract etheric energy, so all energy was free as well at that time. So
Yeah.
kind of blew me away. I think at one point the whole realm was possibly the way you guys are living, but whoever switched it and turned it.
Yeah, but that's kind of coming back to the square house. There's square thinking, and
That's right, yeah.
and we got to get back to that. That circular movement, and even in your body, we all have that geometric design in us. That sacred geometry inside our face and our fingers, our tips are, our fingerprints. Everything is all. We have that in us. It's all in us. Everything we need, we come with. We're born with. But because not all humans contain all the answers, so we need to go back to the main source, however that is, where there's ceremony, and where there's vision quests, psychedelics, however it is, we go see
Self-actualization.
Yeah. And then we extract the download, we get the download, and then you be walking, all of a sudden, these things. How did I know that? You can just ask it in the air, and you just have to will it to you, and it'll come. But you got to be willing. You got to believe in yourself, know yourself. You can believe, but knowing is You know, that's where you want to get to the known.
So what you were saying, just getting back to the teepees, I find this really interesting, and how you said that you use 13 poles. Was that an absolute requirement that they had to have 13 poles? Was there some kind of like significance that they knew about? Do you know anything about why 13? It is a very significant number, and it's recently come to my attention, and I don't know how I missed this, that in Christianity, you know, like it's thought that, you know, 12 is, you know, the really significant number. But really, it was 12 plus 1, you know, plus Christ, you know, the Christ consciousness. And maybe the real number, even more paramount than 12, was 13, you know, if you include. But do you know anything about, was it like essential? Like, do all Indian tribes build their teepees from only 13 poles, or is that just a Lakota thing?
And did the
Or
13 poles mean that there was 13 moons in a year?
Yeah, it was a ritual. It was a tradition. So but it was also a science aspect because it guided the fire how we needed it. You know, so you wrap the poles a certain way, you open the flaps a certain way, and it engineers the smoke to go up and the wind to come in, however that is. But you also put the fire sticks the way to make that smoke go up. So everything was engineered and thought of, and always represents every month of the year. Every pole represented something, because that's how we went back then. We went by the moons, we went by the sun, we went by the wind. You know, we knew the land, and that land, we lived with it, you know, so we knew something was coming, or it was going to be a good day, or we knew it already. We felt it. We were immersed in it. You know, we weren't blind, you know. We were, you know, that's why when people call you woke, I'm like, I've never fallen asleep. I always been awoke. That's the way I was born, you know. And so, because a lot of times we get stuck in a construct thinking, and you know, when we talk about the creator, you know, people bring the creator up, or understand religion and how that is in a spiritual, how I look at that for me. And they say, this man asked me one time, how do you believe in the way the Christian believes about, you know, we are created in God's image? And in my language, we say this word, it's called mitakuye oyasi, means we're all related. Everything the creator has created is my relation. And so everything is a piece of the creator that has been created. We're all also star people because we have star elements in us. So we have that connection with everything and everyone, with Mother Earth, with everything that Mother Earth has, it lives in us. And so when I look at that, and I answered him, I can't see that in my mind. I can't see me being created in God's image. I see me created as only a light. I'm a light. I'm an energy. I'm here. The light that lives in me is bonded with this body to have this experience on this earth. But this is the way I look. This is the way I was created. But I could be created by like a cat or a dog or like an eagle or a horse, you know, and I can say it as a horse in my conscious, you know, I was created in God's image. And, you know, God is a horse or a buffalo or an eagle. I can say that, or a flower, or whatever. So I see the creator as mitakuye oyasimi. We're all related. All of everything's creation is related. So I don't see the creator as a man image. I don't see that.
mm-hmm. Do you see the creator as a being even? Do you think it's a being, or do you think it's not even a being? It's more of an intelligence or
a consciousness.
Consciousness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A powerful energy consciousness. Like we are, like when you have near-death experience, you become energy, you become a consciousness. You're a consciousness. Now you're a spirit. And that's what you can't see. You have no physical body on you. You could probably manifest and look like it, but that's using that image to create that how you used to look. When you go, you just become a light. You just become, a creation of energy, and whatever experience you go to and how you go to that. But a lot of people are only meant to go so far. And so a lot of times when you see people, hear people's experiences, as a ceremony man, as a spiritual man, I already know those experiences. I already felt them. I already feel these things. I don't need to die to have those experiences. I already have them as a ceremony person, because I can connect in that way, and I know how to do it, and I can bring back information to this earth to be an interpreter for that people ask for. And I practice that, though. I live that way. That's who I am. And people say, well, you have an education, you can do anything you want, and you don't need to do this. But I already made that promise. I made that oath. Like, I made an oath when I was in the military to be a warrior for the people. So when I came back, now that oath never ends. It's for life, being a warrior for the people. So I was useful. I did something for my country. That's why, the things that I've been through in my life, I use them as teachers. So, these are the things that, I'm doing today, and trying to move this movement forward in my life, and creating these modalities to really help people understand themselves. Like, also, the longest journey you can make, the mind to the heart, the buffalo philosophy, and the beloved buffalo, and also the buffalo philosophy: never leave a warrior behind. You always go get your warriors, because when you're living a life of doing something and being useful, you become a warrior. The Creator has many warriors on this earth. So be one and be useful in this world. Instead of complaining and bickering, get up and do something about it. And you'll see your life open up in a different way when you start becoming useful. And we always talk about our mistakes and how shameful we are, blame ourselves, but take those mistakes as teachers, because a lot of times those mistakes are not just for us. And gets people, it's for people in the future. Some people in the future, because you're going to learn how to make these mistakes right. And as you make them right, people are going to come into your life, and you're going to tell them your story. And then they're going to know, I'm not alone. I can do this. I hear you. I'm with you. I know that. And making them right is just being a good person. Just, that's all it is being a good person. Once you're a good person, good starts coming to you. And then you make things right. And then making those things right, just eventually the law of this world that just takes you and already knows, okay, I'm going to help you, bring you over here to make it right, and start helping somebody. That's amazing. It's amazing how those things happen. So a lot of times, I always tell people, if you're going through something that might be terrible, it might be that you're at the threshold of what you've been asking for. And that's just right here. The threshold can be just right in front of you. But a lot of people walk away from that and never step over it. And they didn't realize if they stepped over it, the blessing right there, just right there. But they give up that close, like a gold vein. You missed it, just missed it. You left it. Same thing. Your life is like that, And so, a lot of times we give up on those things. So we have to understand, as well as our tears, how important the tears are, because man punished their kids. Don't be crying. Don't do this. You're a pussy, or you're little girl, or you're weak, and all this. I'll give you something to cry about. But they didn't realize the intelligence that came with those tears. It's a given right. We're born with them. So much intelligence because it expresses and gets rid of our our anxieties. It gets rid of our depressions, and it releases things. And then when you
Right.
stop crying, other things start to come back in. So other things come in. So that's depression. Disorders start to come in. High blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, all these start to set in because we replaced it with being tough and angry and yeah, don't be crying, I'll beat you up, you know. We replaced it with that. So
So
yeah.
is Native American culture different in that regard in terms of how what they teach their children about emotions and crying in particular? Is that something that is markedly different?
Yeah, totally different because
Really?
our
Yeah.
society is also matrilineal. Our culture, our Lakota culture is matrilineal, so that means the women are the leaders in the home. They're the dwellings. So you take your shoes off if you're coming into a woman's home, and you'll know when you come in there, you have to have respect for that woman. You know, as a man, our place is to protect, provide, you know, and be teachers. You know, be the uncles that, you know, that's how the warriors used to be in camp. They were the uncles. They were the teachers. They were the enforcers. They were the, you know, the taught people to how to hunt, went to hunt for people who couldn't hunt, things like that. These were the warriors. It wasn't about war. It was about taking care of the people and teaching them, teaching each other the medicines that we use to heal ourselves, because we have all of those medicines that Western American took and monopolized on it and created a pharmaceutical that became billionaires. And what about the people that came from, you know, forget about that, because our science and technology and our mathematics are totally different the way a person would calculate. Because if they put our education in, if they put it into the academia today, it would be totally different. It wouldn't be like this. It would be a different way, but it would be more natural, more of a you didn't have to struggle to figure it out because it'd be natural with you. It coincide with everything they're doing, and that's how our ceremonies are, our rituals are things that we use in rituals. They have mathematics and science in them. That's why we use them, and you know, that's another story we can go into, but it's totally very powerful.
Why don't we get into that, the rituals? And you're saying there's mathematics embedded in the rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we get into that? And that might tie into some of Mark's knowledge of Masonic ritual.
So cymatics. When we talk about cymatics and the vibration of either your voice or something you can use that that creates a cymatic frequency that connects with your frequency and pushes the negative frequency that's in you out. So we use these certain gourds that we use, but we put certain stones in them to create that certain frequency to push that. And then when you're shaking it, people think you're just shaking a gourd, but we have a reason to shake it. And so when you're shaking it, cymatics is coming out of those certain quartz.
So
And it's coming through you and it's healing you. So you can use either your voice or you can use the gourd or you can use something. Sometimes people use flutes, you know,
yeah,
like a
right.
flute is, you know.
That's really interesting that a gourd with what stones in it, is that what you put in the gourd?
Yeah.
That's interesting that just an instrument like that, a rattle essentially, you know, is emanating a frequency that's healing, you know. I would have never thought, you know, that something like that could, you know, have that same kind of effect.
Is it a couple of frequencies that you use at the same time? So you have the rattle going and some sort of musical frequency in the
drum
background.
as well. The drum,
Yeah.
drum, the gourd, and singing. And
Yeah.
so these are all universal instruments that you can use. So they're in different nations and different tribes. And in Scotland, they have gourds. They use gourds. They use drums. And, you know, in different spiritual practices, they have these. That's why I'm telling you about the gourd, because it's universal.
Yeah.
And people use different stones in them that frequency your same frequency or that modality you guys are they're going through, whatever that issue is in that body. And a person that practices it will know, because you can take a couple of like rose quartz. Let's see, like because rose quartz are very represent love. They're the frequency of love. And different stones, different quartzes, different stones have different frequencies in them. So different emotions and different things that you work with. So it takes time. You practice them, use them, feel them, because it's the vibration of the earth still in them. So it's like a battery being charged. You know what I mean?
Very amplified.
It holds energy longer than a battery, and forever probably. And but you gotta and how I charge them back up is put them on Mother Earth, just put them on the ground, and then they charge back up, and then you hold them. And different stones you can use that for. So practice them, feel them, feel the energy that's coming out of them, and you know how it makes you feel. Sometimes it can make people nauseous. Different kind of stones make people nauseous. You know, you know, it could answer your questions sometimes. You know, it's really crazy how that is. You can stand in one place, flat, put your feet flat, stand in one place, ask a question. I think the men, it's forward is no, if you get pulled forward, and yes, it's backwards, and then female is forward, I think, and then one of them, I think, but usually no is for the men is forward. So if you feel you ask a question, and you'll feel a nudge or pull, it will pull you. So it's going to pull you towards the north or whatever energy that you're going to face, whatever, whether it's the west or the north or the east or the south. They have different energy fields above and below. So it works with it. It works with you because it's natural law. That's why I say it's important to think indigenous, you know. That's why when you think like that, it's really amazing.
So so what is the ultimate intent of the Native American ritual or the Lakota ritual? Is it to correct energy disturbances or energy imbalances? Is it to heal, or what is the overarching sort of idea behind doing the ritual?
Well, rituals are done for ceremonies, for whatever is going to happen. You know, people in church do rituals all the time when they getting ready to do when they drink the wine and eat the bread. They have to do a ritual before that. So every ceremony, place, or person has a ritual that they conduct, and it creates emotional an emotion and a vibration, but not on a vibration, but a movement. That ritual happens. So people can maybe move wind with their hands, or vibrate water, or move water, however it is, move something in a glass or something like that, or create an energy from the mind to the heart to the coming out of the hands, and making an energy ball and sending it. It'll hit your target wherever you send it. But you want to send good, because that's what you want to come back. And if you're playing with it negative, that's what's going to come back too, because it's going to hit your target, but it's also going to come back to you. So that's why I say you want good, do good. You know,
So it's very similar to what Masonic ritual used to be like, because the word Masonics is the sonics, or the frequencies, and the temples are acoustically built to resonate sound and frequency. So when people knew what the ritual was, and I know people still do, but not in the lower orders, they used to connect the body, the mind, and the spirit together within the ritual. And normally there'd be a story or allegory about death and rebirth, or sacrifice. And there's your emotional part, which charges the ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of a Masonic ceremony, the energy used to be sent to the healing of the planet. But now it doesn't happen like that anymore. It's sent elsewhere to other people who want to take that power. But it's all very interesting. And it's all very interesting hearing how similar your kind of ritual is, because it's all the same energy in the end. So done for love, and it's very powerful.
You know, what's really amazing is that as a spiritual person, I can do these rituals, but if I talk to another spiritual person, let's say in Scotland, I'll talk to somebody over there, or the Druids, and they had a ceremony, it's going to be similar, even though we didn't practice the same. It's different ritual, but similarities, and you feel it. You're like, man, that's similar to what I practice. And I've felt that. I've went over there and I've taken part of some of their ceremonies, and it was amazing how similar they were. And I'm like, damn, that's spirituality for you, because it's teaching Mother Earth teaching you.
Yeah.
So it's similar, you know, and it's like, man, it's powerful.
Yeah.
I had a lot of these experiences in different places, and you know how we understand the nature of and how you can work with it. And it's really powerful, because people don't believe that. They want to see to believe, when sometimes you have to, you know, believe to see. And so a lot of times that's in you, how you.
That's right. People close off the when they don't believe, they close off any potential of having an experience in that way. Which is interesting.
Yeah, I'm also, you know, writing the next book. It's called Think Indigenous: The Longest Journey to Mind to the Heart. And it's really a powerful aspect of how these healing modalities help you, and how the man thought keeps you trapped.
No, that's right.
How nature frees you from that.
Yeah.
So it's really that's the kind of what I'm talking about. One of the chapters is the mind to the heart. And some people is this, man, it blows people away, you know, how they sometimes they're taking that journey, the mind to the heart. But on that journey, as I bring them through that journey, you're going to have to face some things, you know, and men always say, I ain't scared of nobody. But if you put a mirror in front of them and drop on their hands and knees and start crying, you know.
It's the shadow, isn't it?
Or put them in a room alone, you know, the same thing, you know, when people go into, you know, like isolation in prison, you know, and they're, you know, faced with themselves, you know, their own mind. Do you think so? What is all entailed on the journey from the mind to the heart? And do you want to break that down a little for us? You know, what is the fundamental way to go from the mind to the heart in your tradition?
Well, I can share some, but some of it's going in the book, so I gotta keep a little bit out.
Okay, but that's fair.
Yeah, you know, it's the self-actualization of facing yourself and your mistakes is a journey in itself. But every aspect of your journey is going to be looking at all these things that you went through in life, and how to learn from every one of these and why they're in your life and the reason behind them, you know. So that's kind of like what I'm going to be talking about in that, and breaking it down and helping people understand that, and like, like that aha moment. So people are like, oh, okay, all right. So kind of like that, what I'm going to be talking about in that book, and that what it's going to be helping people to open up. And it's really interesting because, the studies I've done throughout my life, and not only my experience, but education. And education for me is just for me to cross the T's and dot the I's, because I don't use any of that philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
We got our own, we have our own philosophers and our own mathematicians that I follow and that I revere, and our teachers that I look up to, that have, like my two great grandpas, and the science they were teaching me without even knowing that they were teaching science, and that they knew that it was scientific, but it was a traditional way they were talking about it. And that's what I'm talking about how our calculations, how our science is different than the way, Western thought is. And so these are the, what we were, what I'm bringing forth in that book is these kind of thoughts that people, wouldn't even think of, from, these people that, like Tesla thinker, the way he thought, man, it was amazing. Some of his, like the way Grandpa Sitting Bull thought, and his those thoughts and the tactics he used. And, I wouldn't be here I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for him. And the reason why I say that is because, and true stories that, the Battle of the Little Bighorn, you heard that about General George Armstrong Custer.
Mm-hmm.
He dreamt it before it happened. He dreamt that battle.
That's right. Yeah.
And as soon as he woke, he acted on it. And so he made the dream realize. So if he didn't act on it, I wouldn't be here. And that's the intelligence of dreams, spirit dreams, and how important they are to really understand them, because they are a connection from here to the other side. And those intelligence come here because I was supposed to live to do this work. And so that's why the people that I help, I picked up doctors and lawyers from the street, and I picked up people who became doctors and lawyers, counsel them, help them. But it's not me that heals people. It's me just getting you unstuck. From then on, you become yourself healer.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we're the only ones who stand in our way, because I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face, and it's up to you to change that thought and that mind. That's all it takes. But, so I don't call myself a healer, I just say, the teacher, help you get unstuck. So these are the kind of things that I'll be talking about in the book, and how it teaches people to understand themselves, self-actualization, and the importance behind that, to be, to make this world a better place, because look at what's going on. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's, and what's kind of scary about that is that, there's a side effect, powerful side effect that's going to backlash, because you can't just do that to people without cause and effect, But that also, to whatever's happening, we have to look at ourselves and see the things we have taken for granted. America is obese. We're fat and lazy. We take everything for granted. And now somebody said, "Get up!" Your freedom is at stake here. And it's crazy. So it's things like that to really be aware of, to understand your life, move forward. How we need each other, because like you were talking about isolation, a prisoner that's in isolation would do anything for a human contact.
Mm-hmm.
Getting beat up by the guards, it's just that physical human touch. And even if they don't know it, their body knows it. They're feeling, because these studies have been done on babies, where the baby needed to have that affection and that caressing. The babies that didn't died. So in order to stay sane, we need that human contact. So what that means, we need each other. That means we're all a piece of each other's puzzle. Like that there.
Interesting. Do you think in your culture that we are heading somewhere where there could be a point of splitting of two peoples of like in the Hopi Indians kind of prophecy that the world splits into two, and some of us go onto one path where we become evolved and enlightened, and the other path goes back to do a new cycle or back down to the lower realms. Is that in your culture anywhere?
Well, we have our creation stories that have the teachings of where we come from and how our language came and our rituals and things like that. And the creation stories also talk about how it is, about the future. That's how intelligent our stories are, because they don't just talk about the future as well. And the future, in every cycle of our Mother Earth, there's a cycle that comes. And then this cycle, there's a rejuvenation. Our bodies go through it every 7 years. Our ego goes through it every 40 years. So there's a recycle that happens. And in this recycle, there's going to be an uplift of rejuvenation, of intelligence, of vibration that we all need to be a part of. And so we're going through all of this stuff right now. We're having all these anxieties, and everybody's don't know what to do. We're confused.
Yeah.
It's a cycle happening and everything. Even the earth tilted. And how did we know the earth tilted? Because the Eskimo people told the scientists that our earth tilted. And how did they know? Because they're star people. They followed the constellation, and they knew that something was wrong. Things like that. So there's a cycle coming, a rejuvenation that is coming. So it is our time to really understand our meaning to each other as human beings, and the importance of that meaning to each other. Because if I'm the last man on earth, and if you're the last man, whoever it is last man, we're going to seek another person. We're going to walk to the end of the earth to find it. But there's no end. It's just, we're going to keep going in a circle. So we have to understand that there's a cycle, and how you believe. Excuse me. When we manifest something and we believe in it, it happens. Whatever that is. People always say, I'm sick. All of a sudden they get sick. You manifest something. You manifest something good in your life. And these prophecies are told to you, so you start to believe them. So now you're manifesting that prophecy as well. So now you're bringing it too. So if you don't want that, don't manifest that to you. Manifest a good world for you. Manifest a good life for you, but not just for you, but for everybody. And when we start thinking that way, we'll change the future. We'll change. We will evolve. We will elevate with this growth, vibration, what we're going through. We will grow with it. We will be enlightened all together without leaving anybody behind, because we sacrifice too much to leave anybody behind. Even though we're mad at them, even though they hate us, we can't leave them behind, because if we do that, here comes another side effect. So we have to bring everybody. We have to bring everybody with us, and we got to teach everybody, no matter what. And that's how I see it. I see it that way. I see that when we do that, it's going to be a good future. And that's what I see. I see a good future. I see things happening that are going to be set right. And start people, we're going to, we're already connecting with them. It's going to be more. There's going to be more connections, and we connect with them in ceremony, or and just, being out there and be willing to connect, but also protect yourself and how you do that. Be willing, but also understand, you have your right to, to be like, come and work, help, but don't hurt us. You can't hurt me, come to her. They say, oh, but if they help, they're going to change the future. They can't change, but they already did. They're here. We see them. They're already taking people. So it's already changed, So you might as well enjoy and help us. Come on, let's be allies. Let's do something. And that's what's happening. I see that. And it's amazing whether people believe it or not. I'm scientific, but I'm spiritual, and I know how that connects and that power. And, there's a very thing that we go through in life. Sometimes it'll take you, take your mind, that's something that always we go through, whether there's a crossroads or depression or sickness, whatever it is, we're going through a spiritual awakening. It's going to bring us to somewhere where we're going to be. We're going to change for it, whatever reason that is. And we're going to look back at why we were like that before, And so that's the way we have to believe. And that's what I feel is coming. That's how I feel. I feel good. I feel good about it. Even though we're going through this, and people are like, depression's bad. It's not. It's only your body trying to get rid of it. That's it. That's the intelligence of our body. It's so amazing. It knows how to push the liver out. Right? So, yeah.
And more and more people are, we see it everywhere now, including myself, are being forced to look at the shadow parts of ourselves and deal with it, because it's kind of the process of elevation and into the right place, like you just said, which is very interesting. It's happening everywhere.
Yeah,
it's a crazy time, but interesting. I like the collective progression that you talked about, like every 7 years. Whereas sometimes if we focus our attention on a splitting or a division, then it kind of takes our consciousness into an old paradigm of duality, which could stop our progression in the long run, couldn't it? Or hold us back. So
yeah, it's really powerful because 7 is a sacred number to a lot of different spiritual aspects and modalities, but it's also a scientific aspect as well.
Yeah. Well.
But I have to get going here, buddies. So I hate to say goodbye, but I have to head out.
All right. Well, Doug, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your insight with us. I had a great time listening to your story.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was really enlightening. I felt like I had no idea how metaphysically informed Native Americans were. Like I understood that they've understood more about the nature of reality than we do, but using crystals and sound healing and all the stuff that we do in the metaphysical community. All that you have different terminology for it, but it just seems a lot more advanced than I was aware. Like I was not aware until this point, how knowledgeable Native American tradition is about the nature of reality. I thought this was really eye-opening for me.
Yep. It's natural for us. We have different, like you said, terminology for it. And so the way we say it's more, people will say it one way, like, oh, wow, it's a UFO, and we say that's the star people, star people. We talk to that. And we make it simple because we make it the way it is. It's to us, it's just another relative that's more intelligent, but understand, we're just as intelligent. And, I'm going to let you think about that and figure that out, how we're more intelligent, just as intelligent as they are. And you can ask me that sometime. Unless you figure it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Doug. It was very great talking to you. And perhaps we can have you on again to talk some more.
Yes. Tell people get the book and Think Indigenous. It has a lot of things what we talked about in there too.
Yes. Where can someone purchase that book?
You can go to Amazon and get it there, or Hay House, because all the proceeds continues to come back and help the people. It goes right back into helping people. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug, thank you so much. And we look forward to talking to you again.
Okay. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye-bye now.
All right.
Thank you.
So Mark,
he was awesome.
Tell me a little bit about your thoughts, Mark, on Native American cultures and things. Do you know anything about the Native American cultures?
Not a great deal. Only that it's, they're in touch with nature, the harmonic resonance of the earth, and they keep those traditions, and they keep within keeping those traditions, they keep in their relationship with themselves and who they are. So you mentioned self-realization a lot, and self-actualization, which is important in knowing who we are and giving us the tools to connect with the star people, because we break down all the traumas and the shadows that hold us back, and connecting with using the whole of our Wi-Fi instead of just the blinkered version, which we get taught in the Western world. So they really are ahead of the Western world. They've never lost it.
And why haven't they lost it? So that's the question that interests me. Why have those cultures somehow been able to preserve all of that wisdom and knowledge into the present age that we're in? Whereas, because it seems to me like there has been from, I don't know what we would call it, Mark, you refer to it as the agents of the system, or the forces of darkness, the sort of Luciferian consciousness, that has been operating on this planet. There's been a systematic sort of effort to stamp out, all of this ancient knowledge and information about who we are and the nature of ourselves and so forth. What is it about Native American culture that has somehow allowed that to be preserved to modern day? I find that interesting, and don't have an immediate answer for it.
I only have an opinion here. Obviously, it gets passed down from generation to generation, but not just that. From a frequency standpoint, it's something that resonates with them. So their whole system resonates with them. They feel it. They feel it's right. They feel they're connecting with something. Whereas in our society, in the Western belief, it's kind of inverted and it's kind of muddled, because in a lot of our belief systems, we're not really connecting with the heart and who we are. So we are the opposite of them in a sense. Some of us, not everybody. So we don't tend to keep those teachings or resonate with the earth, or even along with our buildings and stuff, with the flat ceilings to cap us off. With the TPs, they still connected with, I call it the etheric energy, and with the wind, I seen the spiral when he was.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up the TP thing again, because I totally forgot until you just said it. I was looking up some research. I have so many questions I wanted to ask Doug, but unfortunately he had to go. So bear with me just 1 second, because he's a Lakota. He's part of the Lakota tribes. Now, from what I gathered here, the 13 teepee poles, they symbolize deeper cosmic and spiritual principles, aligning with the universe, the natural cycles, sacred teachings. Each pole represent a fundamental force that connects the earth and the stars and the human spirit. So I'm gonna read these 13 real quick. The 13 teepee poles and their cosmic meanings. So one is the creator. They do have the Lakota names next to them, but I don't want to hack up their beautiful language. So number one is the creator, the source of all life, and the great mystery that governs existence. Number two is Mother Earth, the foundation of life, nourishment, and spiritual grounding. Number three is Father Sky, the vast cosmos, wisdom, and the connection to higher realms. Four is the four directions: north, south, east, west, representing balance, guidance, and spiritual awareness. Number five is the sun, the giver of life, warmth, and energy that sustains all living beings. Number six is the moon, the cycle of time, intuition, and feminine energy. Seven is the stars, celestial ancestors, guiding spirits, and the map of the universe. Number eight is the wind, the breath of life, movement, and communication between realms. Number nine is the water, the sacred elements of purification, emotions, and the flow of spiritual energy. Number 10 is the fire, transformation, passion, and warmth of community and spirit. 11, the animals, the sacred messengers, each carrying teachings from the spirit world. 12 is the plants, healing medicines, foods, the sacred gifts of the earth. 13, the sacred hoop, the circle of life, the interconnectedness of all things, the eternal circle of life, death, and rebirth. So that is the cosmic meanings of that. The TP circular base represents a sacred hoop, symbolizing energy and unity. The conical shape points towards the sky, connecting the earthly and spiritual realms. The 13 poles mirror the 13 moons in a year, emphasizing the natural cycles of time, seasons, and cosmic rhythms. So, yes, I found that extremely interesting, and I didn't even realize that there was a huge celestial meaning. I know that TPs are sacred, but I did not know the depth at which a TP was sacred.
So do you think that I'm just wondering, why do they do that? Why do they have, some kind of designation for each pole? I'm thinking that, on one level, it might, serve as some kind of symbolic reminder, which, getting back to what we were saying, kind of serves as something physical, tangible that's there that, can sort of maintain continuity of awareness of those things, of those aspects of reality. Or is there something more to it than that? Is each pole, somehow energetically imbued in some kind of way with those elements? But I could see, why that would be useful, and having, items, that were central that have spiritual meaning, because that would sort of tie you to that, and thus maybe you sort of preserve, the awareness of those things, maybe.
I think the energetic side of it I'm more inclined on, because it's like each pole is a frequency, as you said, and it's connected to or piercing other realms and drawing energy through. But not just that, the TP is planted into the earth, so it's feeding that wisdom back and forth, feeding it back up through the realms and bringing the wisdom back down. And because they've named those poles and given it this frequency, then that's its operation. Like the hieroglyphs. The hieroglyphs are still, functioning in the same way.
Right. I wonder. So if that is the case, and there's real energetic implications, to dwelling in a teepee, what would you notice, if you experimented and lived in a teepee for like a year, in a circular environment, and you perform the right rituals, in order to, imbue each pole, with whatever energy? what would you tangibly notice, or I'm just wondering, what depth of effect would that have, on your
That
conscience?
reminds me of people here and when they make pyramids out of copper pipes and they sleep under them, and I'm sure it must have kind of the same effect, because they say they open themselves to consciousness, they bring themselves amplified healing, wisdom, psychic connection. So that there's so much, you've opened. I think it's a representation of our energy as well, because I think our energy is triangular and pierces the realms and tunes in. So
Our energy field is triangular, or
I think
what?
so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's interesting.
it's a prism, triangle prism.
Yeah.
So it's really is a model of us. It's like, it's like a Masonic lodge, that it's parts of our anatomy. It's describing our whole anatomy in the whole place. So, and it puts us in a dwelling where we resonate with that place and resonate with the earth. Same with the TP. We kind of resonate in that place because it's allowing us, our consciousness, to leave instead of hitting a flat roof or,
Right. So it's not enough to just have, I think, a circular dwelling. You also have to have some kind of connection to what you call, the higher sort of etheric realms or whatnot. You have to have some kind of point, would you say? So it has to come to a point. Like if we were to redesign our homes, it can't just be the elimination of corners, to allow for more natural flow of energy. It requires, some kind of channeling point to.
Well, he said it, didn't he? It's our geometry, and it's it's kind of the flower of life, isn't it, which represents us. It's all geometric. That TP is geometric with its 13 poles. So it's not just a random, it could be a random in nature. If we look at nature and the way some of these plants grow, they grow into the same shapes. They'll reach up.
Right.
Well, besides a cosmic meaning of what the TP represented, they also have a spiritual representation as well. The 13 poles, they hold deep spiritual significance, mostly values teaching that gives life. It's just sacred virtues. The cosmic part that's more to it. In fact, I'll just give you a couple of these sacred TP poles and their meanings. Obedience, we all know what that means. Respect is number 2. 3 is humility. 4 is happiness. 5 is love. 6 is faith, and so on and so forth. So their spiritual meaning is deeply rooted in their person and how they do things, but the cosmic reason is completely different. So like you were saying, Mark, I mean, the TP basically is a structure that's holding all their belief systems. So yeah, I mean, I think that not getting into because I don't know what the geometry of that would be. Because it's not a pyramid. It's more conical. You know what I mean? It's not a pyramid. So I'm not sure what that would symbolize. I know that their symbolization is protection, community balance, connection, sacred, spiritual aspects of their thing. But yes, it's fascinating. I would love to know what the not geographical, but the geometry.
Geometrical.
Yes, thank you. What that would mean.
Yeah. That would be interesting, I know, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
What about Masonic architecture, and has that been lost in modern day? I mean, they just seem to be performing rituals nowadays, unless I'm wrong, Mark. In standard conventional Western buildings.
Some of the buildings are beautiful, yeah. Sometimes they'll just put a temple where they can, really.
Uh-huh. But as
But
far as the architecture and the energetics of the building, is there still present day, some implementation of knowledge like that?
I think the building will affect the whole ritual in the end. But when you look inside a temple and you see the way it's set up with the two pillars and the representation of our anatomy, the whole thing being a womb, I think that has some power in itself. So then we don't really need the concave kind of design. Then it's just the magic with the energy inside it and the ritual. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not always needed. So maybe different meanings for different purposes for the shapes. Obviously more healing with the TP or the pyramid kind of structure. But yeah, it is
What
interesting you pick that up.
Mark, let me ask this question about Masonic stuff. And I've seen this the last time we talked, I was researching as we was going. I think that's why I don't never get to talk much because I'm researching, trying to figure out what everybody's talking about. But what is the significance between Egyptian stuff and Masonic? I see a lot of different things. I've seen hieroglyphs, things like that in with Masonic stuff, and I'm very curious on what that is for.
Well, masonry in general, or the correlation with the hieroglyphs, yeah?
Yes, the correlation with masonry and Egyptians.
Well, masonry is from Egypt as well. So there was an Egyptian rite of Freemasonry. But with the symbols and the hieroglyphs, the symbols talk to the universe, because the universe talks in symbols. So if you hack in the universe or you wanted to do stuff for you, it won't be the words or English words, for example. It will be the pictures. And also the symbols in masonry are also parts of our conscious, parts of our Christos. So they represent different parts of our consciousness and our mind. So depending on the ritual and the time where the sun or the moon sets or the energy alignments at the time, each allegory will represent a strand of energy, which also coincides with our energy. So it all connects. Our connection to the earth, the celestial, through our anatomy. So I think I answered that.
It's fascinating because I've seen, I don't know what this symbol is. It's the one with the kind of pyramid missing the top, but the eye is above it. I see that one a lot associated with Masonics too. Is there a reason why? Can you hypothesize or give us some kind of opinion on what that might be for?
Yeah, the eye, I believe, is our souls and our energy, and the pyramid is the structure of our energy, our energy field. So that's why you see it sometimes disconnected from the actual pyramid, because that's symbolic of disconnecting our soul and our energy from the body. So you will see on kind of your notes in $1 notes over there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So do you think it's a misunderstanding, the whole notion and conspiracy theories that, it means the all-seeing eye, it means, centralized control, a kind of omniscience on the part of the overarching forces that run the control system?
That would play into anybody who's trying to control a masses of population, and if they are projecting a narrative that the eye and the energy is disconnected from the pyramid, and it falls into the conspiracy realm where people believe that's what it is, then they are giving up a power to that, and not realizing that they are the power and they are the whole pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clever, isn't it? The stories and narratives are very clever.
Right. Yeah. I never would have thought that would have been. It's another inversion, really. They've taken something and flipped it on end and turned it against us. Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. But that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, of course, the pyramid, intrinsically is not, something, evil. I mean, it's clearly. There's just no, unfortunately, awareness of that within the conspiracy communities. They tend to view everything as
Well, it's kind of, we've kind of, we're a species that's given our power away and our consciousness to be managed, because we kind of, as Doug said, we self-realizing, we're going back to self-actualization, we bringing the power back to the kingdoms within us. So that is mastering anything to do with symbology, narratives. It's alchemizing that, transcending it back into a story that empowers us, and not gives our power away to a system that wants us to depend on it. And then everything, I think everything is powered from us anyway. So if we believe outwardly, then we're giving up that power.
And it's interesting, Mark, that the pyramid with the eye is such a symbolic thing, because we have it on a dollar bill. But from what I can remember, and this is going back, so I could be wrong, it's reinforcing beliefs that it represents hidden power structures or surveillance. So hidden power structures along with surveillance, watching over people. Yeah, so
all of those things compounding the belief in slavery. It's interesting they put it on the money, because it's money is a currency converter, and it's a currency converter of our energy. So it's kind of like a medium or a tool for controlling our energy in the way we want. And with the symbology on your notes, and our notes too, we got symbology in there as well, geometrical symbology, then it's feeding something. It's feeding something that they wanted to feed. So
what is the mechanism by which the energy transmits through the currency? Is it because is it our desire, our focus of attention on money, of wanting money and always thinking about money, and our awareness is always on money? Is that like the underlying mechanism? Because that's what I'm always confused about. Like, is that essentially how it may work?
it is. It's so we pay so much attention to money that we give our intent, we give our emotion to it, and with giving our emotion to it, we're giving it power. And if somebody else is controlling the money, then they're controlling the flow of energy, which is our energy, which is the energy that we project to I would say to run this realm, we run it, we project it, we manifest, we create, and if we have a tool, just like a straw man, just like when you're born and you're given birth certificate, and then a company is made with your legal fiction, it becomes like a talisman, becomes a magical instrument, and you get bound into a contract or made a company, and your energy is given away to them freely through acquiescence, because we're not really aware of it until we are aware of it. So they control that. So I think it's our energy that manifests and creates everything here, and the money is a tool to get that, unless some people are in control of their own money. That's another thing altogether.
Right. And so they need our energy. Is it a case that they are depleted in energy, or they're, because of their, I've always wondered about this, and this is, getting into a deep rabbit hole, but because of their vibrational status, because of essentially, the acts that they commit, all the wars, the ritual sacrifice and everything, they're at such a sort of low vibrational frequency that they may have actually detached themselves in some kind of way from the natural sort of background
That's what I believe.
energy fields. And I've always thought too that it might be a matter of maintaining their existence that they need energy, not so much, just utilizing the energy and, putting it towards, whatever they want to manifest, that their souls might need the energy to literally stay fueled and be existent in some way.
Yeah, we are the sustenance for them. The different names from the fallen angelics, I think we covered it last time. But what I think they do is because we are taught to look at the shadow parts of ourselves, and which is a great thing to, look at the traumas and align with them and alleviate them. But I think they access us and our realm through our shadow selves, because our shadow selves are the low frequency traumas and that connects directly to them.
So almost like the conduit, or our shadow self is the conduit in a way, because it's connected.
I think they've done a great job they've done a great job of showing people that they don't exist. So then we think it's all us, and to an extent it is the shadow. It mirrors back at us. It's all our traumas, but also behind that there's another intelligence which is accessing through that as well. So and they are out. We are the sustenance. We are their energy. We are the food. We are what keeps them going. And in the end, they are us. In the end, so I think.
Yeah. That's interesting. Todd, do you have any thoughts on that?
On what part? On the symbolization of?
Well, on the sort of fundamental aspect of the control system, and it all boils down to is depicted in the Matrix. It's all about energy. It's all about harvesting energy and using that energy.
But what really is the Masonic? What is the main goal for the Masonics? Like, if you look at a Masonic symbol, their main symbol's a square and compass, and that represents moral balance and wisdom. But what do the Masons? Is it a control thing? Is it about
I don't.
control, or is it just about enlightenment and morality?
I think the original purpose of Masonry was a guide and mapping system for us, and,
Okay.
and a very powerful guiding and mapping system. And it was a system of healing. It was a system of connecting the realms, and connecting the different realms with the different beings, the nature spirits. All of that was in there, and that was actually in the Egyptian rite, because that's what they done. They, within the rituals, they would connect all the realms, build the energy, and send the healing off to the planet. I think Masonry got kind of infiltrated, or maybe bad people got involved and changed it, saw the potential of the power, and changed it, flipped it on its head. So it's in some orders and sects, it's more of control than others. But I would suggest that was more up the road with the higher realms and witchcraft. Which again, when Doug mentioned that all the rituals are the same, and witchcraft is exactly the same as Masonry as well. So it's done exactly the same way. Everything is a start, a building of the power, and a finish.
Okay, but wait, because I like to clear up this thing with witches. Witches basically do nothing different than a Catholic would do, or someone that's very Christian. We use intentions. So does the Catholics. They use the intentions. We use sages, things like that. They use frankincense and myrrh. They worship God and Jesus, and the old witches. They worship the other gods. It's just, to me, a witch is somebody that was rooted good in the earth. That was someone that could take a plant and heal you. And of course, everyone thought that was some kind of occult magic, because they would say a prayer to Odin or whoever. So yes, I think that there is a lot of stuff in witchcraft that got blown way out of proportion. I mean, it's just old pagan rituals. Nothing sinister about it. They believed that, like me, if you think about your thoughts hard enough, you get enough people to help you with them thoughts, they're going to manifest. So it is a yes, absolutely.
But most of them use sacrifice. So the Northmen, Odin, they all had sacrifice. Even Christianity is a sacrifice of Jesus.
Yes.
So that, and then there's the building of the emotion and the energy there.
Yes.
So the intense moment before they sacrifice a person, because they did used to sacrifice people quite often. I think. Well, I won't say it on here, but yeah, that's the building of the energy, and then once they finish the sacrifice, that's the drop. It's very powerful, and that's a very powerful hack. But it's not hacking through the heart, which is us. So it's short-lived. I think it has karmic repercussions because of the magnetism, the thoughts involved. So it's like a cycle of hacking instead of no cycle, and just going directly through our Christos, our hearts. So, and I think this is what the movement is now, and the waking up of the consciousness is as we are accessing stuff through our own hearts, and realizing that it's our own thoughts that are creating things very quickly. And we don't need a lot of the ritual anymore. I don't think. I think it's getting to the point where, you know, our thoughts are quickening, and our creative abilities are going back to where they were. So we're returning to that place. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if you tell yourself, hey, look, I'm going to have a great day, nothing's going to get in the way of that day, and if you think about it hard enough, you're going to have a good day.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you tell yourself, you know what, this day is already crappy, and you know, then that's how you're going to be. So
it's as Doug said, isn't it, with the victim outlook and the victim perception. If you're in the eyes of the victim and you're behaving like a victim, then you attract everything that the victim would attract. So
absolutely, because I don't remember reading about pagans, you know, killing off everybody, but I do remember reading plenty about these these who were they, Jim? The ones that the knights that would ride around and say, hey, you need to read this book,
like during the Crusades.
Yeah, the Crusaders. Yes,
during the Crusades.
I don't remember pagans doing that, but the Crusaders sure did. They'd be like, hey, if you don't read this book, we're just going to kill you. You know, you have to believe in this person or none. And that's where the Bible was very screwy, because what about the people like the indigenous people in every continent that never had a Bible ever? And it says, if you don't read this Bible and you don't believe in God and Jesus, you're going to hell. I personally don't believe that, because how would they know that they're going to go to hell? But they did worship a higher power. So that is definitely the start. So I just find it, you know, the witch thing kind of gets me because probably because of everything that happened in the United States with the Salem witches and things like that. And not just here, but I mean, that was all over the place. If somebody didn't understand something, they thought it was, you know, demonic, and they were killing you for it.
Yeah. That's like everything good getting inverted on it. So, you know, witchcraft back then may not have been evil, or maybe a bit of both.
Right.
But maybe they were good healers, and which I think they were. And obviously there was no money in us in our divinity. So if we were in our divinity acting as gods and in touch with nature and being harmonic to the earth and everything around us, you know, the question is, who shook that up and for what reason?
Well, why are churches, like I've seen some of the most beautiful churches in the world, Spain and all these other places, why do they need $1 billion church? It says in the Bible that he's not going to hang out there with you, you know? So why do we do this? And why is it that people believe that they have to give you all their money or you're going to hell? I don't understand any of that.
Yeah. I don't think they done any of the preaching back in the day through churches. I don't even think the churches, the church buildings are what they were originally used for. You're seeing that they were, you know, when you look at the stuff now, you're seeing that they were harvesting energy. Even some of the churches now with still got the copper spires on them with the wires running down. And with some churches, it's showing what looks like in the blocks a plug socket, like an ancient plug socket. So I think they were energy centers. They were powerhouses. They powered those kind of buildings. Powered a city or a town. And you know, particularly a lot of good churches are next to water. Same as the pyramids. There's water underneath the pyramids. That's all energy, and it gets harvested into those kind of that shaped building. So yeah, I think things were very different, and we trying to realize what things used to be like. Getting back to it. Yeah.
And we still haven't figured out how the pyramids work, or what they were for, or how they were even built. So talk about somebody being so more advanced than we are, because we can't figure it out. So it's crazy.
Yeah, for that civilization, it was probably common knowledge. That was something that they used.
Yeah.
Obviously, like as you said, it's a mystery to us because we don't know which way they used it. But pyramids are in more places than we are told. We usually look at Egypt. I mean, I can take you down here in West Wales and I can show you so many petrified pyramids. It's so obvious.
Wow.
You know, with the design, the geometry on them. And then the grass has grown over them and they've become hills. And I don't think they were ever hills, but
Yeah, I'm so curious about those pyramids, and there's some, that are supposedly in China. I just saw a picture the other day of like really perfect looking pyramids. It looked like, I'm not sure if it was a real picture. Hopefully, it was a real picture. It looked like the pyramids of ancient Egypt, covered in grass or something. Do you think that those pyramids, like the pyramids that you're seeing in your country, are there really blocks in there, or are these just carved in some other mysterious fashion, as we know they did, back in, whatever era that was? They obviously had some kind of mysterious methods of stoneworking that are unknown to us today. Or what do you think they're made out of, and what cultures do they belong to? I wonder, in your country, like
I think the majority in our country are, petrified structures. It's just so obvious. And then on some of the mountains, when I drive back from Wales, sometimes you can see blocks. You can see giant blocks
Really?
and stuff. Yeah, in one place out in Wales. It's just in between Aberystwyth and a place called Ryder, and there's a mountain. And I swear I can see windows in the mountain, like as if I'm looking off to the right, and there's like this squares in that hill, and why would perfect squares be there? Just all of a sudden,
Right.
So I think at some point, yeah, they were magnificent structures, huge, and there was some sort of cataclysm that happened, which kind of melted everything.
Right, yeah, that's possible with stone formations or rock formations, that they can become re-lithified, or melted down, and the composition changed and everything, and any evidence of stone working can be completely eliminated.
Yeah, that's right.
But you think there's got to be something, though, like I wonder if there's people investigating those in your country, or excavating sites like that.
That's a good question, Mark. Have you ever heard of anybody doing archaeological stuff with these?
The only person I know is obviously the guy Graham Hancock. The stuff he's uncovered, which exposes the story of our real history to a degree. And there's a case of it. I might have told you last time we spoke, actually. There's a place called Pontypool here, and some building firm bought an allotment to put houses on and stuff, and they found a rock, and they kept digging into the rock, but the rock became wider and wider until they realized that it was a pyramid. And that firm actually went to the government to stop them excavating the site, and so that they could build up on it, and the government granted it. So on the tip of that pyramid to this day is a roundabout that everybody knows about. They know there's a pyramid underneath.
Wow.
So,
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
and it's interesting how they want to cover up, like the pyramids in ancient Egypt. Nothing was done about that to conceal the ancient Egyptian pyramids, but they for some reason want to obscure all of the other pyramids. I think maybe getting back to Graham Hancock, because they don't want to know that there was an ancestral knowledge that disseminated to all of these places, and there was one culture before, that had some kind of, ancient wisdom and knowledge, relating to geometry and things like that. And they don't want us to see. Maybe is that what you think it is, or why do you think that it's important to cover up these other pyramids and other locations?
Well, I think it's multi-layered, really. Probably the main one is to stop us realizing the truth of who we are, and where we're from, and possibly our history is tied up in these things. Best person I listened to on that is a guy called Santos Bonacci. I might have mentioned him in the past, and he says that the whole world was once, the religion was syncretism, where it was like all the religions in one, with astrology and that was across the whole realm. He's really amazing in explaining that stuff properly. But I think a lot of the stuff that's hidden now is stuff to stop us realizing who we are and what we were, and it's to keep us. Well, when I say to keep us, maybe it's not to keep us. Maybe it's for us to find out who we are and get back to ourselves. Maybe the word "keep us" and those words that we use are almost a lock-in words and lock-in systems in themselves. So I think it's mastery and finding our way through the crap and to the truth. And I think the truth we feel, don't we? We don't know the truth. We actually feel it and understand it properly with depth. So, and I think that's the beauty with what Doug was saying with with his culture, because they're operating at a level of resonance. It's how the cultures are passed down. It's through passing the knowledge down, but also the feeling of truth that must come from it when you get the knowledge. Knowing that they're connecting with the earth and knowing that they're connecting with the universe, and feeling that power through their rituals and guidance. So we've kind of lost that. And it was interesting how they were persecuted so much and they were attacked so much. The cleansing, it's all down to trying to hide the truth and take away anything that connects us with ourselves. Yeah. And
Right.
who done it?
Right.
Who done it?
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one more thing to Doug, but I totally forgot about this. There's been some insiders that have said certain things about the Native Americans that's pretty interesting. They refer to this as the metagene factor. That there's something, and I don't fully understand what this. I think it has something to do with powers of manifestation, and they refer to it on the inside. I think there is some more superficial term out there if you look up metagene factor that relates to something else, but they call this the metagene factor, and it relates to our manifestation capacities. And Native Americans, and for some reason it was said by this one insider that Celtic peoples have really high metagene factor or something like that. And that was why, at least in the case of the Native Americans, why they were oppressed and eliminated from North America to the extent that they were. And maybe explains also, the oppression of Celtic peoples and the constant trouble, going on in that region, which kind of,
It's the same all
occupies
over,
their
really.
attention.
Yeah. Same thing all over. The Celts got kind of persecuted and certainly invaded in this country. But a lot of the beliefs, Celtic beliefs, still quite strong, and I would say again stronger. Lots of stuff happening in this part of the world where the meetings are collection for healing and chanting and drumming, and that's growing more and more. So I think we're finding our way back to it, which is interesting, because when we find our way back to it, does it leave the door open at some point for it all to happen again? So do we become so spiritual that we become weak and we don't see the things that could happen, or the threats that could happen, or maybe losing track of the threats?
Right. Yeah.
Downs our defenses. So I don't know. I think it's got to be a balance with all of it, really.
What about Mark? Tell me your opinion on this. What do you think about if you look at history, especially Egyptian history? Where are the whole thing just disappeared. The only thing left is the hieroglyphs and the pyramids and things like that. Just like if you look at the people of Pompeii, wiped out of existence, the Romans wiped out of existence. Is that what, do you think maybe that is what we are destined for? Our civilizations just collapse and we're wiped out? Because it's weird that ancient Egyptians are wiped out of existence. I mean, there was nothing to tell you about the Egyptians.
Or this is something I think about quite a lot. I think two things happen where there is catastrophe and destruction, and I think this happens in cycles. But also I think that when our consciousness grows and we learn more and more, then our frequency output and our frequency raises out of the bandwidth of this realm. And it could be a possibility that the Egyptians and all them simply resonated out to a degree into a different light frequency, or a different frequency that holds their bandwidth. So I know that this place only holds a specific frequency or a specific bandwidth of consciousness. When we awaken too much, it's not going to be able to hold us anymore if our frequency goes beyond that. And I think that's a mix. What happens with the timelines, and people disappearing and reappearing, roads appearing, disappearing. It's a mix. It's a mix of all of it. It's a clever system which we'll continue to try and understand.
Yeah, people have speculated that the Incan civilization and the mysterious disappearance of the Incans, can maybe be alternatively explained as something like that. And I think there's even, maybe even stronger evidence that something strange happened in the case of the Incans. I've always, been unsure about that. Like, are we also refining the vibration of our physical bodies when we're refining our vibration in general? I've kind of been previously under the understanding that what's becoming refined energetically is the spirit, and the body is still this just dense energy that kind of stays the same. But I've run into a lot of information since this led me to believe that maybe there is because it's all energy, even the body, is ultimately energy, and should be able to, increase its frequency like anything else, So
you just said it. That's the one thing Dolores Cannon explains, isn't it? About you can leave with these bodies, or you can leave without them. And I think it's I think it's how we treat our bodies, and how much we can raise the vibration within these bodies to be able to take them or join them with our with our next body.
I wonder if more of like a holistic approach is needed to also kind of be refining the vibration of the body. Like, I just read something recently that parasitic and mold infections in the body, like maybe like yeast infections and stuff like that, really do, according to this person, affect our energy and create some kind of detriment to our resonance, our body resonance. And
It's really
and
weird
maybe,
like that,
like
though.
being healthy and, sort of detoxing and things like that might also be really important to raise the vibration of the
I
body.
just this evening I bought
Mm,
Luga's iodine for the
mhm.
fungus, and I
Yeah,
bought
I have that too. Yeah.
not Paraprotex. I bought wormwood, basically, and black walnut and all that to do
Hmm.
a parasite cleanse, because again there's talk of the parasites being connected with the lower
Right. Yeah.
angelics and stuff as another access into our body, because the parasites actually control our thinking as well, don't they? There's a really good
Yeah.
guy that out there called Chris P. Manley, and he suggests that our microbiome is also a form of parasites, to get them out too.
Uh-huh.
So it's just,
Huh.
I know, and it's kind of weird because we've been told that,
That's unconventional.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I feel like I keep coming back to the parasites. And we're finding out now, this is starting to become mainstream. I was on Joe Rogan a little bit ago that there's definitely seems to be a massive link between chronic disease and parasites, namely cancer. That might be the key to many cancers, if not all cancers, that they're all at root, derived from some kind of parasitic infection going on. And when you take certain drugs that are antiparasitics like fenbendazole or ivermectin, even, you can cure cancers, at least
yeah,
some types of cancers. Um,
I think it's most of it, isn't it?
yeah,
Because it
yeah.
was showing even breast cancer and how easily it can be cured through fenbendazole, really attacks that within a month.
Well, yeah,
Hmm.
and we have to look at the time too. Back in our great grandfather's time, it was a different ball game. There wasn't there wasn't as much poisons as there are now.
No.
Now you're shoveling in hamburgers from McDonald's and Burger King and
Mm.
all these places with all these preservatives and added things into it. And now our cattle, they're injecting them with things to make them bigger steroids they're putting in them to make them bigger. um, it's all leaching into us,
Mm.
all these different chemicals and preservatives.
Well, I read tonight that those chemicals, the glyphosate, all the preservatives and stuff like that, actually feed the parasites
Yes,
to come
yes.
alive.
Oh man.
So yeah,
And
Yeah, I think
kind
they
of makes
know
sense
this.
in the fast food.
I think that it somewhere, in the Black projects, they fully understand the parasite connection
Exactly.
and are tweaking things, making sure that we eat the diet that we do to support and foster parasite growth. And it's also, I wanted to bring up chemtrails, and Morgellons, or more, some people say Morgellons, and
Yeah.
the research that's been done into that, and the finding, that there's some kind of weird, mysterious parasite that some clairvoyants, will see in their mind's eye as some kind of like entity, some that on this side, in this vibration, it manifests as just a parasite, but energetically, it's more than that. That there's some kind of consciousness there, some kind of parasitic entity, that's thought to be
Mm.
connected to the Morgellons
Yeah.
disease.
Yeah.
all right, well, we're gonna have to cut this short
Okay, guys.
because we are over our time here. But yes, Mark, thank you so much for
No,
coming
thank you
on.
for having me on.
Mhm.
It's awesome to talk to you. I learned so much. And we had Doug on. Doug had some very good things to say, and
Yeah, he's amazing.
his wisdom, things like that.
Yeah, I was really
So
impressed by Doug.
yes. So Mark, stick around with us backstage. Thank you everybody for joining in and watching and listening. And we hope to see you on the next episode of Paranomaly Beyond Disclosure. Thanks everybody. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to receive notifications when new content is made available. A Paranomaly Beyond Disclosure is looking to talk with ufologists, researchers, investigators, contactees, abductees, channelers, and more for upcoming shows. Or if you have stories, photos, videos, questions, suggestions, or comments, please contact us through Messenger or email us at paranomalypodcast@gmail.com. And you can also visit us at paranomalypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social links. I thank you again for watching or listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode of Paranomaly Beyond Disclosure.